Hi everyone, we're here with Taylor Atwood. I'm Jason Tremblay, the president and co-founder of the Strength Guys. Taylor and I have been working together now for 8.5 years. We were just talking, and thank you for joining us.
Yeah, pleasure to be on.
So we wanted to start off by asking you about your experience training with TSG. How would you describe the 8.5 years that we've worked together?
So I will have to say and this is just a biased opinion, but it's my honest opinion as well. It's been phenomenal. Now, it has been somewhat linear. However, there's been some troughs, and what I'll say is the troughs that we did go through made us who we are today. So even though we did go through some of the tribulations of having a bad meet, bombing out, losing world championships, all of that kind of culminated into the Strength Guys and Taylor Atwood, who we are today. So what I'll say is I appreciate loyalty just as I'm sure you do as well, and you've shown me nothing but loyalty, so I did the same thing. And I think that's one of the things that a lot of powerlifters and coaches miss in today's kind of community is they want everything today. And it's taken us 8.5 years to get to where we're at right now. And it was not an overnight success by any stretch of the imagination. Now, we have had successes along the way that have put us above others, but it's still, we weren't the best of the best. And that's where I had to just put my total and complete faith in you. But I've had some help along the way. My father put a few boots in our asses and has helped guide us in certain directions. But the overall experience that I've had, if I had to just sum it up into one word, it would be phenomenal.
Thank you. I think what you said there about people wanting it right now is something that I've noticed a lot in coaching as well. At your first world championship, really you held the deadlift in your hands at lockout that would have won, right? You forgot to extend your knees, so it was a technical error, and there's no worse punishment for a technical error than literally losing your first world championship on it. And it's a big failure. The Arnold Classic against Josh Hancock when we bombed, big failure. When I felt undertrained and traveled very poorly to Belarus, big failure. And one thing that you've done all throughout your powerlifting career is people may have been able to fool you once, but they haven't been able to fool you twice with the same mistake, right?
Yeah.
So you can make the mistake once, but you don't make it twice. And I think that's really helped you a lot to continue to level up. And we're a high performance team. You, me, your dad, Kedrick over there, and we all hold each other accountable, and I think that's helped you to realize your potential.
That's right.
So
Yeah, I think that's another piece of this whole powerlifting community as well, is they underestimate the power of a team. They think that they can do it on their own, or they only need one coach to help them with every aspect of their powerlifting career. And I think I think how I've surrounded myself is more around how you surrounded yourself as well. So you surrounded yourself with some of the brightest minds of not just coaching, but nutrition, biomechanics. Like, there's so many different aspects of who you surrounded yourself with. So I've kind of modeled who I wanted myself to be as well, and what I wanted out of a team. Like, I needed a coach, so I sought after a coach. It ended up being you.
Yep.
You ended up being what I thought at the time was a great coach, and again, we've had some learning lessons along the way, but you've continued to level up just as much as I have. Then Kedrick came along from a nutrition aspect, and he was a godsend in terms of helping me maintain. And we've literally been at the same weight every competition for, I don't know, the last
73.6.
73.6 or 73.7. That's it.
Yeah.
And then Ben came along. We've just had our physical therapists. Like, we've been blessed along the way with some of the best, who at the time probably didn't get the recognition that they deserved, but it helped me become a better power lifter and just a better student of certain aspects of powerlifting. So there's been just so many different things that I think I've picked up along my career that the strength guys have been able to enable me with. So
our success has taken a village, for sure.
Yeah,
so,
for sure.
And the pinnacle of your powerlifting career so far was last year at USAPL Raw Nationals, I would say, at least by the numbers, with 838.5 kilos at 74 kilos body weight.
Mm-hmm.
And we were talking about this yesterday, and you made an interesting point. And so we were curious if you could say it here so that other people can maybe learn your perspective on that meet. How would you describe your training for that competition, and how did it differ from your training for other competitions?
So I think that the pandemic played a key and integral role. The silver lining in the pandemic was leading into, before everything went into lockdown, I was consistently leaving work around 7 p.m. and maybe later, but then traveling from work back home, from home to change, to go to the gym to train. So I wouldn't leave the gym until maybe midnight, 1 a.m. sometimes. And then I'd have to get back up around 6 a.m. to be at work around 7, 8 a.m. So it was just this vicious circle of just consistently not getting enough sleep, but having an SBD day, having 8 sets of squat, 7 sets of bench, and then potentially 5 sets on deadlift. And that was like a 3 to 4 hour workout. So it was just grueling leading into that. So the silver lining of the pandemic was when we went into lockdown, I no longer had to travel into work. And it also made for a better work-life balance, because a lot of, like, what corporations went through was this transformation of allowing their employees to have better work-life balance. So if I told my manager, hey, I'm going to go train in the middle of the day for a few hours, just message me if you need me, but I'm going to go train, they were okay with that. I was no longer in the office anymore.
Yep.
So I didn't have to stay in the office for 10 hours plus and then go train. I could literally from my house go train, still in my workout clothes, come back, start working, and work until I needed to work. But I was able to get in quality sessions. And I think leading into 2021, that was like, it was the healthiest that we had been. You were able to push me, I think.
I pushed you
to like no end.
Yeah.
Like it was one of the hardest preps I've ever had to date, and I was probably like training easy 4 hours each time, every session.
Yeah.
And
I think if I can interrupt there for a moment, like, people are fixated on this idea of everything coming together on one day, and for last year's nationals, the prep, it did come together on one day, but like, Taylor was able to optimize his life to train, and it was in his home state, right? So he's had familiar surroundings, familiar environment, and also we did absolutely everything that you could handle in training. So much so that like the very last deadlift, the very last lift was prep, passed out, and you nearly banged your head on the rack and concussed yourself. And I know that was because you braced too early.
Yeah,
But I think it was also symbolic of how freaking hard you trained
I agree.
and how much effort it took to get that out of you.
Yeah.
And I know there's a lot more in you. We've been talking about 850, and I thought after that meet, give Taylor a few more years, 900 kilos possible. And it was, I think the idea of the super meet is something that we all talk about, but last year what you did at Raw Nationals really showed what it takes to put that together. And it's extraordinary in every sense to perform that well. Who knows how many years that record will stand? So it's
We'll
pretty
see,
cool
man.
to do
We'll
it.
see. I'm just happy. I know that I put everything into that prep that I could have. I didn't leave a stone unturned, and the results showed.
Yeah.
So
So the final question, and then we'll let you wrap up and head to your room and cool off and rest up for the meet here, is what is one thing that you've learned, the most important thing that you've learned from your time working with TSG? And that could be something that you've learned about programming, the nitty gritty of working with a coach, or it could be something that you've learned about yourself. Just curious what stands out to you most.
So I think this is going to be, I wouldn't say it necessarily was TSG that taught me this, but it ingrained it more into me, was the importance of having a coach. Because I talk about this consistently. The barrier to entry into a gym is literally go up to the counter and buy a membership. And now you have free reign into the gym. Is there any other sport that you can do that in without having a coach? Think about football, soccer, basketball, baseball, golf. If you want to be on a team or one of the best, they all have coaches.
Yeah.
Even the best of the best have a coach. Tom
Yep.
Brady, LeBron James, Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan, Serena Williams. Like, the best of the best, they all have coaches. And that's one thing, again, like when I started in powerlifting, I still had a coach. My dad was my coach initially. And I was like, look, I want to take this more seriously. You've gotten me to a certain point. Let's go seek something else out. So I sought after a powerlifting coach, and I got it. That's what I think everyone, like that my message right now is, everyone listening, build a foundation on concrete, not quicksand, because that is going to be what sets you up for success later on in your powerlifting career. You don't want to set yourself up for failure later on and say, man, I wish I would have before. So it is an investment up front. However, if you're willing to spend time is your number one precious commodity in your life. When you're worried about dollars and cents, you're willing to put time and effort into this. So be willing to spend the money as well. You can always make money back. You can never get your time back. So if you're willing to invest your time into anything, be willing to invest also the dollars associated with it to become, or at least set a good foundation for yourself.
And I think to summarize that, our foundation was really based on accountability, consistency, effort, and loyalty.
Yeah.
Right? And so sign up with a coach who has these four things, and you've got the basis for something good. Because I think if you have those four traits, you can only go up from where you are, right? Because if you make a mistake once, you're going to learn from it. You've also been very coachable. This is something that, star athlete on the hockey team, they just be like, I'll go out and score 2 goals when I want, but I'll also take a shift off every now and then. and you've never taken any workouts off. You know, you've been very receptive of feedback, whether it's, you know, we're always coming from a constructive place, but whether it's to motivate you or to instruct you that you need to do this, by the next workout it's there. And I think these are some of the reasons why you've been able to achieve what you've been able to. So thank you for your time, and you'll see us on the platform in a few hours.
Let's go.